Each sleep we all travel beyond a veil of consciousness, beyond bodily sensations and rational logic, into a place of symbols, metaphors, beyond time. In this everyday yet eternally magical place, we're travelers. We know so little of what and why the universe is and what infinity is, and yet the veil around us is very fragile. These cities of light are retreat centers. They're mostly in the etheric worlds, and sometimes with a stronger link to our physical world. They are accessed in altered states of consciousness, such as dreams and meditations. The etheric realms are filled with those who love us, angels and ascended masters. Mother Mary is said to be the head of the angels of mercy. The Mother sets them tasks to aid us in our journey as human beings in our material world. She has lived a physical human life and ascended to the heavens to take her place as a guardian, an intercessor. Naturally, she helps us with our needs in our spiritual tasks. The community of light. For centuries, mystics have spoken in hushed sacred tones about a white brotherhood. Other labels are the Alliance, the World Servers, the Brotherhood of Light, the Great White Brotherhood, not for their skin color, but for the bright light that surrounds them, or simply called the Brotherhood. And believe me, there are plenty of females included. Members are mostly a non-physical group of enlightened beings, intent on guiding humankind's journey to spiritual realization. Some are human beings who have mastered the interweaving of their humanness with their divinity. Others are universal forces like angels, nature spirits, astrological entities, gods and goddesses from a variety of religions. In my astral or dream body, I was privileged to have a grand tour of the Brotherhood of Light's domain, these etheric retreat centers, and now I work with them mostly in meditative states, just as I will coach you to do. Mystics of the past believed the Brotherhood was composed only of the most exemplary souls who ever lived. These great souls were like saints, guiding the course of our destinies through their prayers and outpouring of love. These qualities reach the pure in heart, the clear-minded, the spiritual aspirant, the humble, and the good people in the form of inspiration. The Brotherhood is also said to be responsible for helping to keep alive religious experiences such as the mystery teachings and the flame of light within humankind's hearts that keeps us striving for our connection to God. In my life experience, I found this to be true. Recently, some mystics have said that many people who are currently embodied and acting as mothers, teachers, healers, therapists, doctors, people working to influence social change, scientists, ordinary Joes and Janes such as ourselves, are members in the Brotherhood. In other words, a lot of people here on Earth are actually members. Based on what I saw in my nightly journeys, I tend to support this belief. I believe that the visitors I saw in the cities of light are active duty personnel. They're currently in physical bodies to make a difference in the emotional and spiritual quality of the lives of all those here on earth. And in our dreams, your dreams, you go home to this heaven to rejuvenate and to reinforce positive intentions and resolve in the physical waking state. So I discovered in these series of dreamings that there's a fellowship of light. It was the summer of 1984, and I fell asleep after having said my prayers, asking God to protect me and guide me in my life. Night after night, for an entire month, I would dream the same dream. I'd meet a kind man. His azure blue eyes stood out in contrast to his dazzling white hair and clothing, and he would lead me down corridors hewn from stone most of the time, or through gardens of eternal spring. He didn't speak out loud a lot, yet in my mind I could hear him instruct me, and he said his name was Lanto. His fairly Asian-looking guy. I could feel his wisdom and unconditional acceptance. He seemed to know a whole lot about me and see me as a child of God. Who are these light beings, these masters? Some members of the Brotherhood tell me that they've been around since humankind began. Some, like the angel and nature spirits, are even older. They tell me their names and descriptions have varied from one religion to the next, and yet they are the same beings. The membership ranges from the Buddha to Christ to Helios, the spirit of the sun, to Kuan Yin, an oriental goddess of mercy, to Sanat Kumara, an individual said to be a wise ruler in the ethereal world of the planet Venus. While for the most part they remain non-physical, occasionally members walk among us or take an incarnation, such as the Buddha. Some of our earliest Western writings come from Helena Petrovsky Blavatsky, who calls these master teachers Chohan. She said that the word comes from the Tibetan language. In Tibetan, there are two words that aid in this interpretation. The word Cho, the S is silent, meaning Dharma, and Khan, meaning abbot. Khan is a world we're familiar with as a leader from the infamous Genghis Khan. Yet these fierce men and women are holding the line for positive qualities such as divine love. On Wikipedia, I found information from these two theosophical writers. Theosophy is the study of our philosophy of humankind thinking. According to G.D. Perukar, the Chohan Tibetan is the Lord of Dharma. In the Mahatma letters, the Chohan is the title usually given to superiors among the masters of the Great White Lodge, whose chief is called the Mahachohan. Also a general term used for beings in several states of evolution higher than the human. There are men who become such mighty beings. There are men among us who may become immortal during the remainder of the rounds of the existence of time, and then take their appointed place among the highest koans, the planetary consciousness, ego spirits. According to C.W. Ledbetter, one of the most famous authors on the human aura and the nature of the etheric spirit worlds, the title Chohan is given to those adepts who've taken the sixth initiation. But the same word is employed also for the heads of rays 3 to 7, who hold very definite and exalted offices in the hierarchy of light. We're given to understand that the meaning of the word Chohan is simply Lord, and that it's used both generally and specifically, in much the same way as the word Lord is employed in England. We speak of a man as a lord because he possesses that title, but that's quite different from what we mean when we speak, for example, of the Lord Chancellor or the Lord Lieutenant of the county. We're talking about someone who has a responsibility to an area, to the peoples of an area. My journey started with dreaming. For 7 nights in a row, I dreamed of meeting an azure-eyed, gentle man who presented me with an odd-looking flower. The closest I could logic was a tulip with 3 flames. And each night a different color, tulip, and a different journey to a different place. At first I thought, wow, this is odd, but how interesting, and I made some notes about it. These 7 ray colors go back to the 7 pulses of creation that I read about in reading Eugenesis and explaining that. They are, in this chart, as obvious colors: blue for will, for the Archangel Michael, that's the first pulse, when the Father said, "Let there be light." And yellow for the second pulse, the Archangel Jophiel, who witnessed the wisdom of what God had made. This is the mother observing that which is created. And the third ray, all that pink, the Archangel Chamuel, the energy of love. This is the Christ, the child, the awareness of being, of existing. The fourth ray is crystalline and white. It is ruled by Archangel Gabriel. It's about joy and hope and the acceptance of self as part of this father, mother, child family. The fifth ray is green, the Archangel Raphael, understanding what is created, the truth of it, and that's the fifth ray, knowledge. The sixth ray is red and gold. It's the Archangel Uriel, whose service to the created and to the creation, a form of ministering. The seventh ray is violet, and it could be red violet or blue violet. This is the Archangel Zadkiel, and that is about assisting the created to grow in their steps towards understanding how to use their will, how to be wise, how to love, how to work with joy and hope and knowledge, information in order to serve. This is transmutation, when we have grown from what we could have not been into what we could be. So don't worry if your colors when you meditate aren't exactly the same hues as these. Just take note of the color family, because we'll do 5 more rays in the level 2 class. It'll be fun. Again, according to H.P. Blavatsky, who is actually a source for so much of this information, she ran a salon in France, a meeting group, and studied a lot of very Eastern things, brought that into the Western mind. According to her, one of the objects of the study of the esoteric sciences is that of proving mankind to be identical in spirit and physical essence with both the absolute principle and with God in nature. This idea that man is a reflection of the universe, containing all the essential elements presented in the latter. She elaborated on this as follows. Man is a little world, a microcosm inside the great universe. Like a fetus, he is suspended by all his 3 spirits in the matrix of the macrocosmos. Body, mind, and spirit is what she means by 3 spirits. And while his terrestrial body is in constant sympathy with its parent, the earth, his astral soul lives in unison with the sidereal anima mundi. He is in it as it is in him, for the world-pervading element fills all space, and is space itself, only shoreless and infinite. And to his 3rd spirit, the divine, what is it but an infinitesimal ray, one of the countless radiations proceeding directly from the highest cause, the spiritual light of the world. This is the trinity of organic and inorganic nature, the spiritual and the physical, which are 3 in 1, and which Proclus, an ancient Greek, says that the first monad is the eternal God, the second is eternity, the third the paradigm or the pattern of the universe, the 3 constituting the intelligible triad, and everything in this visible universe is the outflow of the eternal God, eternity, and the pattern of the universe, and is a microcosmic triad in itself. This concept also points out the fact that man and the cosmos do not only share a similar structure, but also the same source and destination. One writer said, "As man is a 7-fold being, so is the universe. This septenary microcosm being to the septenary macrocosm, but as a drop of rainwater is to the cloud from whence it dropped, and whither in the course of time it will return." Now, what are all these little images of tulips all about in this course? Well, they're about something called a 3-fold flame. As the energy field anchors to the body, it settles into the heart area and manifesting as 3 flames of light. And each one of these shows our past, present, and future soul tasks in this life. The left-hand side is our past achievements as a soul. The right-hand side is the future we're building toward. And the center is this present, this lifetime right now. The colors can change with an incarnated lifetime if we accomplish our destiny and work towards what's next. And as you journey in this class, you'll find yourself attracted to some ray pulses, colors, than others. And these will be your colors. And at the end of this course, we'll do a special meditation to explore your three colors in depth. As I said earlier, some nights Lanto and I would travel to other cities. Each one seemed to be a specialized learning center. One was about manifesting this steadfast service to creation. Another one's about willpower, how to have it, how to use it. Other places dealt with the healing of individuals and social circumstances. In each city or retreat center, there are vast masses of people and entities as well, celebrating and learning. So there were 7 cities and 7 nights traveling in the etheric dream state, and that's where we're going in this course. I wondered, this is so interesting. Is it real? Is it imaginary? I took notes, wrote some things down, and soon these dream events became validated by flesh and blood conscious experiences. Several months after the dreams began, a casual acquaintance stopped by my home for afternoon tea, and she said she'd been walking in the woods near Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and stumbled onto an abandoned house. And in the house she found a box of books. She felt like they belonged to me. And I was astonished because a very well-known metaphysical teacher in our area had prophesied that I would receive these books, and they would create a powerful impact through my work. And the dusty old books even contained a personalized, handwritten, living note that seemed to be written just for me, for my beloved, in the 1940s. So in these I Am Presence green books and these little yellow Law of Life books, I found the names, the places, and description that matched exactly the experiences I'd had in my dream state. That was so shocking. Receiving these books, however, strengthened my faith, my intuition, and the validity of the dream travels. In the years and decades that followed, I've needed faith in my work as a professional psychic. It just seems such a wild and weird profession. It's helped me to know that God has a plan and is a real force. It's strengthened me in the face of working with pain of humanity and helping other people with their doubt, sickness, suffering, death, their healing, their everyday life. As more and more people speak up about their spiritual and psychic experiences, I'm sure even more details will emerge about these cities of light, their inhabitants, and their divine purpose. I believe part of why people are so secretive about their knowledge of the Brotherhood in the past was a lack of social acceptance and pressure from religious groups. I could keep quiet among my only family members about this kind of thoughts that I have. I've learned that there are a lot more writers focusing on the Fellowship of Right, such as H.P. Blavatsky, Annie Besant, C.W. Ledbetter, and the entire Theosophical field. Writers focus on these Brotherhood of Light. Each of the 7 journeys will begin with Sanctuary, a meditative dream. The sanctuary implies a place of safety, physical safety, spiritual safety, emotional safety. Sanctuary also brings up feeling images of a space where we can relax, release, and unfold our highest potentials. Traditional imagery involves beautiful places in nature, such as beaches, mountains, meadows, waterfalls, caves, or spiritual images such as cathedrals, doves, Jesus, Mary, celestial light, the Buddha, saints, beloved persons who passed over like your Grandma Rose, or angels. And if your imagery contains the second list, spiritual images, then you may be seeking, consciously or unconsciously, some form of protection and mentoring. The key in listening to images of beings being seen with the eye of the mind is the realization that the message is guidance. It's guidance. You can take care of that and let it in, or you can let it go, rather than the last words sent down from heaven and you must obey. Human beings are unusual in that we're given free will, something that the vast majority of the angelics and other beings don't have. We're given choice. Your image in sanctuary can be set into motion by guided visualizations, leavened by pleasant memories of actual places from your past. And as your relaxation deepens and your psyche opens, often the imagery will take on its own life within your mind's eye, imagining new choices, opening to new possibilities overlooked or repressed. That's the key to growth. Sanctuary meditations open a variety of results, relaxing into opening our intuition, creativity, relaxing the body, renewing the soul. Often all these results occur from this simple technique. I particularly like sanctuary meditations as a way of aligning myself with the higher power I call God. All meditation begins with some form of centering, focusing, and relaxing. Progressive relaxation and attunement to our body, especially alongside breathwork, allows us to be at peace in the now in our body and mind.